Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. We're talking about Grudge. Now, Grudge is a little bit strong at the moment, some may say. I don't know who would give you that impression, but for some reason, apparently Grudge is strong. I'm going to tell you the ways I've found to basically get the most out of Grudge. And yeah, so I'm just going to get into it. First things first, consumables. Always be using Stew with Grudge because it basically gives you double the effectiveness. You get the 15% on your damage, which is your Vile Curses, your Demonic, your Great Curse, your Death Curse, whatever you want to use, your weapon it gets 15% on. It also gives 15% Grudge increased damage with Grudge, which means when you put it on someone else, you get attacked by like 2 people. It's genuinely like getting attacked by 2 people at the same time. It really makes Stew stronger. The cooldown on Omelette is nice for Grudge, but Stew is just better. Typically, I also use Poison Pot as well with Curse. Means you can decide when someone's about to die. If you both jump on the same target with a Poison Pot, they're going to melt. It doesn't matter who they are. So consumables, that's what I recommend. Talking about the armor pieces, this is a big one. There's kind of 3 different options we see with armor pieces. You have Druid Robe, Mage Robe, and I would have to say you could probably use Cleric. Other than that, I would use Assassin if you're going for the Leather Curse. Druid Robe can stack Obsessive Burst up to 6 times, Grudge, E, and get 8 stacks. And now you're going to have the Grudge on a target for the full duration with 8 stacks of Obsessive Burst, as well as you doing your damage. I was hitting people with my Grudge alone, so putting it on someone else and building up my Obsessive Burst, you gooding it to 8 stacks, and put it onto a glaive that drops someone from 100% down to 40%. It was Leather Clarent Blade, I believe. In 4 shots. Like, literally, it was broken. I'd already got 4 stacks on him, so we were just ready to nuke him down. And he just melted. Having that Obsessive Burst takes longer to set up. It's hard to set up, with obviously using the haste and stuff around it as well. But if you get it right, so much damage to come out of it. The other options you've got is things like Mage Robe. Mage Robe is kind of just like a passive Druid Robe. Gives you more damage but over every Grudge, but not on the individual Grudges. So it's a bit meh, but still you can do work with it. I actually prefer Mage Robe in things like Hellgates. If I ever do GVGs or with a team that I know, I'll use Druid Robe probably. And again, obviously you can use things like Leather Curse, which again does a lot of damage. You can definitely make things work with them, but they're really, I don't think Leather Curse is too needed at the moment. With how safe you can play with Grudge, it just seems a little bit overkill to be doing that. But again, like, you can do so much damage. That Druid Burst, the Obsessive Burst does enough damage to be considered very, very strong, just with a Curse Staff. You then chuck a Grudge on another target as well, and that's 2 people they have to try and control. That's some crazy, crazy damage right there. Thirdly, I've actually been trying Grudge with 2 Grudge targets. Now, what I mean by this is, obviously, everyone knows of the Grudge Glaive combo. No one's going to question that one for a second. However, there is the other combo of Grudge Whispering Bow that I've been playing. And what Grudge Whispering Bow allows you to do is actually get Grudges off before the fight. Typically, people now are realising that Grudge has to be purged. It's just too important not to be purged. What's one class that really can't get purged? A Whispering Bow. They're too far back, they're too safe, they're too secure. That actually, if you put a Grudge onto them, they can just poke away, have some free damage. And actually, I did one the other day, was running with Grudge, Whispering Bow, and then Glaive, and a tank. And effectively, what we were doing is we had the tank sort of just separate them from us and play peel. And then we had the Whispering Bow Grudge up right at the start, doing so much damage, like a ridiculous amount of damage. And what ended up happening after that is that, like, by the time we started the fight, they were nearly dead. And we kept doing it 2 or 3 times. We got 2 or 3 grudges off. And then once the fight started, I managed to get onto the glaive. And everyone was so low, the healer was running out of mana, that we could just melt through them. And they really struggled to recover from it. But it meant that once they got through the, oh god, they have a grudge glaive, we have to get through, we have to purge that combo, you could put it on the bow and really throw them off. Another option is actually the normal bow, but it's a lot harder to pull off because it is closer. And it does get risky when it comes to purges. Still not impossible though. So yeah, I would say that is definitely another one. Run with 2 targets that can play that can have grudge on them really well. Something like a Clarent Blade, it's just not going to work on them. They don't have the attack speed. Daggers, if you're going to run a dagger, it's definitely good. But if you're not going to run daggers, then, or if you're not going to be using daggers for the attack speed, then yeah, it's probably not very worth it. And they're not particularly viable running the attack speed build. But yeah, so that's another one. One of the last points I'm going to make is timing. People don't seem to understand that actually timing on grudge is probably the most important thing. I see so many people with grudge just spam it on cooldown. The problem with that is that you will just, it'll get purged or it'll get CC'd out or whatever. If you get to a point where you can start timing it with their CC, so they've used a tackle, put a grudge on because they haven't got CC to follow it up, which means they now have nothing to control the glaive that's going nuts on them. They have a Fiend Cow or a Mace Battle Howl they've just used, put the grudge on, because now it's better to have 1 grudge every 30 seconds that does work than 3 grudges every 45 seconds, like on cooldown, that all do no damage each. You want to make sure you get the timing right, and that's probably the best piece of advice I could give any curse staff. And actually, the last piece of advice I'm going to give, grudge isn't everything. As you can see, I came into this arena, and it was just a pretty random arena. I got invited with a couple of the people, but not all of them. We have no decent grudge target. We've got an Axe, we've got a Clarent, we've got an Arcane. No one good to put grudge on. So I swapped. You don't have to flog a dead horse. It's a strong spell. But if it's not going to work with your comp, don't kill it. Don't just use it for the sake of it. Be ready to swap back to that Armor Pierce. Or whatever else. So guys, not a very long video. There is another one coming out actually in a minute or shortly after this one. So I hope you guys are around for that one. But yeah, so thank you for watching guys, and catch you later. Goodbye.